You're listening to America's Web Radio on the AmericasBroadcastNetwork.com. Thank you for listening.
It's 1 o'clock.
Oh, yeah.
And it's the time of...
Let's talk Venezuelan.
Good afternoon, Mr. Moxley. Hello, Brad.
How you doing?
How you doing? Okay. This radio station has the privilege to transmit many times news from Venezuela. And now Venezuela is the news. On March 26th, the Department of Justice, what did the Department of Justice, Johsie?
They did. They has issued a bounties against Nicolas Maduro and his top officials.
Okay.
Nicolas bounty for his head, his whole body, is $15 million.
$15 million.
Yes.
Okay.
Diosdado Cabello.
10 millions.
And the rest of them, I believe, are 15 members.
15 members, yeah, but four of them were $10 million.
Yeah, but 4 of them, they already give themselves to the
U.S. government?
To the DEA.
To the DEA.
Yeah.
Okay, where are the charges? Drug dealing?
Yeah, the drug dealing, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So we have right now, for the first time, a Colombian president in Venezuela.
A Colombian president being president in Venezuela. That reminds me like Obama from Kenya being a president in the United States.
Okay, but the Colombian president in front of a narco state, that was the dream of Pablo Escobar, isn't it?
Oh, yes. Yeah, actually, he did a lot of bad things to the Supreme Court in Colombia, even explosion of the documents, so he could become not only a senator, but also he was trying to get into
the
presidency, into the presidency
yes.
of Colombia, but they cut him before that.
Because
but his dream came true. Not only is the president, but also is the vice president. Also is all these people who you see what they do is they rotate position.
Yes.
A few years ago was Diosdado Cabello, and he's in the list. And then a few years ago was Alzami. He's in the list. So all of them who are being called vice presidents, all of them are in the list.
But there is a correlation between the socialist and the drug dealing right now. Okay, we went to Washington D.C. 2 years ago to the Forum of Security of the West Hemisphere. Do you remember?
That was in 2017. We attend the forum.
A forum.
Yeah, the forum. The name of the forum, the Security on the Western Hemisphere.
Okay.
And
what will show us?
In that forum, they have panels every 2 hours, different panels. And the one that impacted me the most was the part that they showed us, the telephone numbers, the route, the banking routing numbers, the line. They show us how repeatedly those information that I just gave you are the way that they were tracking them down.
They're tracking them down, but there is something else. The same accounts that they are using for drug dealing is the same accounts that they are using for human trafficking.
And
there's the same accounts that they use for a lot of
bad things that we are discovering now, last year and this year, like human trafficking, pedophile, trafficking babies, trafficking organ trafficking.
But they are using the same routes and the same people.
Yes.
Okay, so it's
one thing is correlated to the other one. That's the way because it makes sense.
It makes sense.
It makes sense in Venezuela because remember they destroyed the only thing the Venezuela used to have as a production. They destroyed the oil company completely.
Yes.
So they didn't have no more money coming in, so they have to provide the money for themselves to stay in power. And the only way they could do it was in the old style way.
Yeah.
The old style well. What was the old style well? Pablo Escobar.
Yes.
You know, or if we going a little more back, centuries back, Carlos gonna tell us how a simple crime of drug dealing, like marijuana and cocaine, has become
a war. Okay.
So, go ahead.
So about in the beginning of the 80s, the cartel of Medellin was formed, and one of the guys of the cartel of Medellin was a pilot named Carlos Leder. Carlos Leder was the son of a German couple. He was born in Colombia, but he was very leftist. Okay, he was very prone to the
What is his
to
name
the
again?
left. Carlos Leder Rivas.
Carlos Leder.
Okay, Lehder, Leder Rivas, and he said that the soft drugs such as marijuana and cocaine is the atomic bomb of the Latin American countries against the American imperialism. This happens in during the presidency of Ronald Reagan, when this guy openly defied the security of the United States. The fight against drugs changed from just a simple, recreational thing into a matter of state. So the war on drugs really began at that moment.
Is that when the DEA was created and all those agencies?
The DEA is before that, but the DEA was formed during the Nixon presidency. But the amount of money that the federal government dedicate for that matter increased exponentially. So what happened? That the war on drugs began, and Pablo Escobar and the cartel of Medellin began a war against the Colombian government, and they almost win that war. But history shows us that this kind of war always ends in the side of the righteous
and the justice.
Okay. But
so they don't learn the lesson.
But Pablo Escobar and their group, they killed more than 3,500 people in Colombia.
Yeah, with the bombs and killing,
yes,
and
they put the Colombian government on their knees
on the spot.
Yes,
on the spot worldwide. Because
so
I remember I was living in Venezuela, and we were listening news.
Yes, and that's when they have to coordinate actions with the DEA, with the State with the State Department. They began to extradite people who were involved in this kind of crimes, okay, and bringing over to the United States, even though they didn't commit the crime in United States. They create an organization, a criminal organization against the United States.
That was putting the safety of American and the government in peril,
in danger. Okay?
Oh, okay.
So, what happened? We know that how the cartel of Medellin ends. We know how the cartel of Cali ends.
I mean, we know those people, but somebody else took over that.
Yes,
because it's always like that.
It's a recycle. It's a big business.
It's a big business, and somebody is let him go so I can come and take over.
So after that, after the Colombians get out of the equation, we had the problem with Manuel Noriega
in Panama.
Manuel Noriega brought the drug dealers to Panama and the labs to produce cocaine to the Darien jungle. The same kind of operation that the Colombians had in Colombia.
That was eso fue como en los 90.
That happens in 1989. And among all that stuff, we have the Cuban connection, where Raúl Castro was in charge of the bringing the drugs from Mexico to Cuba, and from Cuba to the south of Florida,
to Miami,
to south.
I remember a program on TV, Miami Vice. Remember that? Miami Vice.
So they brought the drugs to Cuba, from Cuba to Bahamas, and from the Bahamas to South Florida, in those very fast boats. So that happens in the 80s and 90s. Then the Mexican took over the transport and distribution of the drugs. And it's when you see the resurgence of other cartels, the Mexican cartels, like the Guadalajara cartel, like the Zetas.
That was
like
late in the 90s or early in the 2000s?
That was in the 80s. And it happens at the same time, but when the Colombians were neutralized, the Mexicans began their operation in big way.
They didn't have no Pablo Escobar to tell them what to take, and now they are free. They were free.
And they brought, the Colombians came. The Colombians brought, let's say, 10 tons, a year, and while the Mexicans bring 70 tons per week. So what happened? What happens that the market was completely whack, and the cost of the drugs in the street went completely down. One of the responsible of that was this infamous Mexican drug dealer known as El Chapo Guzman.
See, the one.
Now, the one that is right now in jail here in the United States.
Yes.
But what happened? And you said, and what happened with the equation with Nicolás Maduro and all the stuff? In Colombia, everybody that is in the illegal world, in the underworld, they have something to do with drugs. They even cultivate the coke, the plant.
The cocaine.
No, the coke plant.
The leaf, the plant.
Exactly. Or they produce the basic paste of cocaine, or produce the whole product. One of these organizations are las Fuerzas Armadas Revolucionarias de Colombia. The FARC. FARC is a guerrilla, communist guerrilla that are very close to Fidel Castro. That's the relationship between the drug dealers, the Colombian drug dealers, and Cuba. Using the Nobel Prize winner, Gabriel Garcia Marquez, as the person who gave the communication between.
He was la mula.
No, he was the one. He was the one in charge in the communication between Pablo Escobar and Fidel Castro.
What's his name again?
Gabriel Garcia Marquez.
Gabriel Garcia Marquez.
Okay, we'll be back with more history.
If your health insurance premium is more than your mortgage, Ellen Deal with Ideal Solutions is here to help. Whether you're a small business owner, individual, family, or baby boomer, email maga45cag@gmail.com and I'll respond with 3 easy questions to help you determine if you can get away from Obamacare. As a 20-year veteran of the insurance industry, I'm here to help with all your insurance needs. Email Ellen Deal at maga45cag@gmail.com.
Perhaps you are struggling to cope with the disease of addiction. If not, you probably know a family member or friend that needs help in battling the cravings and the personal and professional damage done by the effects of drugs or alcohol. Get a pen and paper and be ready to write down the following. These are the issues that the trained staff at the Atlanta Healing Center address and treat every day. Their doctors and counselors with over 40 years of practice in the field of addiction can treat the suffering individual in a thoughtful, compassionate, and experienced manner and guide him or her along the path to recovery. So call 770-696-9862 and speak to a knowledgeable staff member about how you or your loved one can be helped to enjoy a better and healthier life. More information is also available on the website at www.atlantahealingcenter.com.
Want to give your family or loved one the perfect gift? Then go online and check out the TornadoBodyDryer.com. I love wine and the warm heat and massage it gives me after my shower. The Tornado Body Dryer is super. You'll love it and you'll love having one in your shower.
You're listening to America's Web Radio on the AmericasBroadcastNetwork.com. Thank you for listening.
Okay, so what happened with the FARC? The FARC are a communist guerrilla, okay?
In Colombia.
In Colombia.
Mm-hmm.
And they found in Chavez the best ally, okay?
That was in 1991.
1999, okay? And they began to bring drugs, cocaine, tons and tons and tons of cocaine to Venezuela. And they are using the Venezuelan army resources to transport the drugs through the country up to the Margarita Island.
So what you're saying is Hugo Chavez, as soon as he got in power, he started not only working with the regular business that Venezuela was doing with the petroleum, but also as a backup with the drugs.
Yes.
At the same time, and I assume it's just, that when he saw the money coming from the drug and the money coming from the oil, he said, "Oh no, let's leave the oil on the side because this is giving us more money."
The problem with oil is that the oil is very cyclic in price. 10 years ago, the barrel of oil cost almost $150 per barrel, okay, and now it's in $30. The fluctuation, the yield is too high. Drugs not. Drugs is like gold. The price is higher. Well, when it's more scarce, okay. So supply and demand, but it's a forbidden business. So it's
but that's what happened when you forbid.
Yes. So what happened?
Forbid, high demand, more money.
Exactly.
Okay.
So what happens? They transport using the Venezuelan army's resources.
Mm-hmm.
They transport the drugs.
So he corrupted basically his whole military.
All the military. That's
There
why
is none of them who is innocent or nothing.
That's why this criminal organization is known as el Cartel de los Soles.
Okay.
That means the cartel of the suns. Why? Because generals in Venezuela has, instead of stars, they have suns in the lab.
The sun,
yeah.
Not the star, the sun.
No, they don't use stars. They use sun.
Wait a minute. Why?
Hmm?
He changed that, or he
Yeah.
always used it from before?
No. He changed that.
Hugo
Chavez
he
changed
it.
that.
He threw away the stars and started putting sun.
Yes.
Wait a minute. What's the country who and the movement with the sun? The rising sun. Obama, United States.
Okay.
Okay. The China over there, the communist, is the sun, and so on. Okay, I'm sorry.
Okay. So.
Se cayó.
Yeah. So what happened? They corrupt the army. Basically, two generals, Cliver Alcalá Cordones, okay, and El Pollo Carvajal. That he was the head of the SEBIN, or the intelligence system, military intelligence system. Both were part of this demand or this suit of the Department of Justice. Cliver Alcalá immediately went to Colombia and gave himself to the extradition and to the American authorities. Okay, so he's singing like an opera singer.
Oh, he's doing the bird.
Yeah,
the bird. He's singing.
He's singing like a bird. Okay, but what happened? Venezuela became the main distribution site for Europe. Okay, so they bring the drug to Margarita Island, and the Syrians, the Syrians that live in Venezuela, took control of that part of the business. They flew the drugs from Venezuela all the way to West Africa. From West Africa, they went to North Africa, and from North Africa, in the pateras, the boats, they brought the drugs to Europe.
So they
sold
crossed the Mediterranean. And
yes, sold in euros. That the euros has a higher value than dollar at that time. So what happened with that money? That money went back not to Venezuela, went back to Syria, where the Syrians took that money and used it to finance the war.
Yeah, the war that we.
Okay.
Yeah.
Using Russia as their allies. Okay, because Russia has a very important port, naval base in Syria. Okay, so look how all this finance and all this product is going through the European Union. But last year happens that in Dominican Republic, a couple of young guys.
That was 2 years ago.
Yeah, 2 years ago.
That was
they were
18.
They were arrested in Dominican Republic.
They were planning how to bring a few tons of
cocaine into the United
the United
States.
States,
But
yes.
the thing is that they were talking to a DEA agent,
Yeah, those
And
guys.
and they were arrested
Mhm.
and brought over to the United States.
Okay.
And it happens that both guys
Mhm.
were nephews of the Venezuelan first lady, Celia Flores.
Who is
The first lady
who is the first lady, who is the wife of Nicolas Maduro, who has a bounty of $15 million.
now.
Now. So
That
everything
moment,
comes like this.
that at that moment when the DEA made the investigation, they said, okay, they control the European Union drug passing, but at the time that they come over here, come to the
yeah.
to
When they are planning to come to the United
to
States.
the United States, they already did a crime against United States, against the security. So that's why they took some long time to have the
Evidence?
substantial evidence, not circumstantial, but substantial evidence, because these two guys said to the informant that they have Rampa 4, that's the presidential place where the presidential airplane
Take in and take off.
take off, okay, in the main airport in Venezuela. So that means that the Venezuelan presidency was involved in that drug dealing. So that's why the Department of Justice.
So you are telling me that his nephews, Nicolas' nephews, give the DEA all the proof, all the evidences,
Yes.
to put a bounty on Nicolas Maduro. So what happened? What happened with this generation? Man, I remember back in those days, no matter what happened, they will not say nothing. They'd rather go down,
No.
die. No, today,
No.
no. I mean, it's my uncle and whatever, but if I'm here, he cannot do nothing for me. You know what? I'm gonna do for him.
Well, but you have to understand something. It is better if you are in your early 20s to spend 17 years in jail.
In federal
Okay.
jail.
Okay, with 10 years mandatory. Okay.
That's prison, right?
Prison.
Prison,
In a
okay.
federal prison. But you are in your 20s, so if you have good behavior, you could be out.
Is that
at
considered
10
a
years.
violent crime?
It's considered a high crime. Yes.
But no, a violent crime.
It is because
So they're not gonna take advantage in 10 years of this.
no, they can get out in 10 years.
But not taking advantage of this new law, the President Trump.
No,
reversed
because that's this kind of conspiracy is considered a violent crime.
Violent crime.
Yes,
Violent.
it's not a lady in the streets of Hialeah by selling 2 grams of coke. No, this is a big thing. Okay. So what's the next thing? 2 of the highest ranking officials on the document of the Department of Justice, they already are here with the Department of Justice and the DEA making declarations. Okay, I think this week another 2 minor person came also to the United States and said, okay, I prefer a jail in in New York, and not a tomb in Venezuela. Okay.
And not only that, a jail in Venezuela where they're killing each other and they're eating each other because there's no food over there.
Yes. So what's the situation? The grim situation that they have. 2 days ago, the President of the United States.
Yeah, I want to share a video with you.
Gave the order of a blockage of the any ship or airplane that goes out or into Venezuela must be reviewed. Okay, we will be back in 2 minutes.
Want to give your family or loved one the perfect gift? Then go online and check out the TornadoBodyDryer.com. I love wine and the warm heat and massage it gives me after my shower. The Tornado Body Dryer is super. You'll love it, and you'll love having one in your shower.
The Docs for Patient Care Foundation is your way to join the fight and become a member of an organization created by doctors for patients dedicated to fighting for your healthcare freedom and preserving the doctor-patient relationship. Get a pen and paper. Write down www.docsforpatientcarefoundation.org. That's www.docsforpatientcarefoundation.org. Go to our site and please make a generous tax-deductible donation and join the fight today. Thank you.
Obamacare is fine, but in order to get back on the right track with health policy, people need to be informed. ObamacareWatch.org is your resource to understand what's happening with this law and what you can do to stay active, stay informed, and make positive change happen. ObamacareWatch.org. Visit us now.
Hey, I'm Dr. Mike Kuruchak. Join me and my co-host, Dr. Hashers, as we talk about the topics that doctors talk about amongst themselves, such as Medicare, Obamacare, alternative forms of care, and health information technology. Join us every Thursday morning, 8 to 9 a.m.
You're listening to America's Web Radio, the AmericasBroadcastNetwork.com. Thank you for listening.
Short. Well, now the President of the United States, as Commander-in-Chief, made an order. Can you tell me what was the order on that?
Okay, it's a very short video. Let me share it with you. It's right here.
States is launching enhanced counter-narcotics operations in the Western Hemisphere to protect the American people from the deadly scourge of illegal narcotics. We must not let the drug cartels exploit the pandemic to threaten American lives. In cooperation with the 22 partner nations, U.S. Southern Command will increase surveillance, disruption, and seizures of drug shipments and provide additional support for eradication efforts which are going on right now at a record pace. We're deploying additional Navy destroyers, combat ships, aircraft and helicopters, Coast Guard cutters, and Air Force surveillance aircraft, doubling our capabilities in the region. Very importantly, our forces are fully equipped with personnel, protective equipment, and we've taken additional safety measures to ensure our troops remain healthy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, our troops remain healthy.
Yes, sir.
But we have to look out this operation as the response of the United States of America on something bigger.
Yeah. The picture is bigger than we think.
Yes. Okay? What happens? This coronavirus crisis have a name.
Mm-hmm.
It's the Chinese
virus. because
Okay.
it's coming from China.
Yes. It's not a racist. It's not a racist thing.
It's not a racist comment or
Okay.
expression or saying it. It's the reality.
It's
It's
the
coming from China, like
No.
the swan, like the flu from Spain. The Spain,
The Spaniard flu.
the Spanish flu,
Yeah.
the Nile, the West Nile,
The West Nile
fever.
exactly.
You know,
It's
location. We always,
But-
before the left took over the media, we always call things by their name, and nobody used to get offended. Today,
because-
everything is offensive.
But the difference between, let's see, the West Nile or the Ebola is the following. The Chinese create the virus, and the Chinese,
Look what I did.
yes,
Okay.
and the Chinese government act very unresponsible. Okay, they ask for help on February. I remember that in February 4th, when the president did his speech about the nation, he talked about the coronavirus in China.
Yeah, he was
and
talking about it.
And the problem and what were the actions that the U.S. government were doing at that moment. But you have to understand that the Chinese government is very secretive in a lot of things, okay? And they didn't give the Americans the right numbers.
No, but
Okay.
President Trump talked about it.
Yes.
And then this is what Nancy Pelosi did that day. You guys
Yes,
remember?
remember.
That's what she did.
Okay.
Now she's trying to do another impeachment. Impeachment number two.
Yes.
Impeachment 2.0.
And this is not the time for impeachment. This is for the time of unity, and the president did what he has to do.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and the problem is that, remember that Venezuela is an influence area of the Chinese.
China is in Venezuela.
It's involved.
Russia is in Venezuela.
Yes.
Iran is in Venezuela.
Exactly.
Syria is in Venezuela. The narco from Bolivia is in Venezuela. The narcos from Las FARC is in Venezuela. Venezuela is being invaded. And the Cubans are in control in Venezuela.
Yes. So the old American policy brought up by Presidents Teddy Roosevelt, okay, that is bring a big stick or bring a carrot, is coming back, okay. The Monroe Doctrine is coming back. It's part of the Make America Great Again.
And they hate that.
And Latin America, as part of the Americas, it belongs to the influence area of the United States of America. Okay?
Yeah.
Even if they say yes or no,
It doesn't matter.
that's irrelevant.
That is irrelevant.
That's irrelevant.
That is irrelevant because as Russia has control over there in that area,
When
nobody gets involved with Russia.
When Russia took over Crimea,
nobody said
nobody
nothing.
say nothing.
Even Obama was quiet.
Yes.
Okay. When you see the China taking control of the Asia area by
Well,
killing Cambodians and killing all that.
No, Tibet.
Oh, exactly. Mongolia. Okay.
Tibet. Okay, they
That's
were
another
took.
example.
That's another example.
Exactly.
So
these powerful countries, they have controlling areas.
yes,
We, the United States, control our area as well. Russia controls his area. China controls his area
We have to-
as well in Africa. Somebody in Africa control Africa area. All right, we control this area, regardless that you like it or not. It's like the family when they have few brothers and sisters. There is always a jealous full brother
yeah,
in the family who refuse to listen to what the elder's brother or elder sister are in charge of.
So the globalism,
family.
The globalism is over. Okay, the globalism is dead, and this Chernobyl-like situation with the Chinese, it will cost already to the United States $2.2 trillion. $2.2 trillion. That's what it was approved by the U.S. Congress as help during these times. But there are some groups that already are demanding, they are suing the Chinese government because their actions create this mess. Not only
in a federal government, in a federal court?
In a federal court, yes. So one of the first things that the United States of America has to do is to say, okay, how Chinese will pay for this. The first thing that they have to pay for this is taking over things that the Chinese took over without the United States permission. Okay, the Chinese get into Venezuela because President Bush and President Obama allowed them.
Oh yes.
Okay, allow them. They both of them allow them to
under globalist concept, right?
Under the globalist concept. Okay, we need to return, for example, for the sanitary controls. I remember when I was a kid that traveling to the United States or traveling to Europe from Latin America, you have to get like 5 different vaccines because they do not allow you to come over here or we have very strict sanitary controls on the borders, on the airports, on the ports. I remembered from a book that David Moxley showed me, the history of the Patriot American, where they said that when the immigrants came from Europe and land on Ellis Island, the people stay on quarantine for 40 days.
Miami.
No.
They had to do that too. 40 days. They used to be locked in until
but
years,
Miami. I'm not talking about Miami. Miami is a new city. But in New York, in the 19th century, they used to lock down the people who came from Europe. Okay, and they don't have a free pass from Europe to the United States until they demonstrate that they are free of any kind of sickness. Okay, yes, in Ellis Island. And if they happen that somebody was sick, they return it to the place where they came from. Okay, so we have to return. On these times, we have to return to that kind of good practices. Okay, United States didn't have this kind of problems since the early 20th centuries. You know why? Because we have the controls, and in the name of globalism, we lose it. I'll be back.
Yeah, we'll be back.
Whether cruising the strip in a 57 Chevy or taking the family on a vacation in a 71 Oldsmobile Vista Cruiser, you need to tune in to Classic Cars with Steve Ronaldo and Jim Weber every Saturday from 8 to 9 a.m. on americaswebradio.com.
In 2009, the membership organization Docs for Patient Care was founded. People all around the country wanted to participate in the efforts of this group, and they wanted to join, but they were unable to do so unless they were physicians. It's for this reason that the Docs for Patient Care Foundation was created. Now, everyone can join the fight and become a member of an organization created by doctors for patients, dedicated to fighting for your healthcare freedom and preserving the doctor-patient relationship. While you're at your computer, please go to www.docs.org www.docs4patientcarefoundation.org. That's www.docs4patientcarefoundation.org, and make a tax-deductible donation and join the fight along with us. Thank you.
This is America's Web Radio. Would you like to have a show, talk about your business, or express your opinion on America's Web Radio? Just email jm@americaswebradio.com and we'll get back to you. Thank you.
Oh no.
I'm
That-
back.
no,
like
that-
Arnold and Terminator.
That's being racist. I mean, if you say history how it happens, that's the point of view now. Today, when you
Yeah.
say history, the point it happens,
Uh-huh.
you are a racist.
Am I?
Okay, so I am a racist. So, do you have something else to say? This is what happened, and this is what's happening. It's the same thing happening in the earliest 1900. It's happening now in the earliest 200, in the 2000s. You
in
know,
the 21st
in the 20. I mean,
the
it's
21st
repeating
century.
the same history is getting repeat back again. And why is repeating it? Because we are forgetting to look back to our history. History. That's the main target right there. The key is history.
Do you
If
remember?
you strip down your history, what it says? What it says when you strip down your history?
It repeats itself.
You will.
Yes, you
That's
got
it.
to repeat it.
That's it.
Exactly.
So a lot of people on Twitter are saying that China must be dragged into the international court
Yes.
and stripped of its veto power in the United Nations. But you know what? United Nations is another communist agency now. I mean, we as Americans, we need to start thinking if we're gonna kick them out of here, let them meet somewhere else. They hate so much our system. They hate so much United States. They hate so much
But do you
the,
know?
the
Do you know?
Constitution, everything. But they love to come here because they know they can walk here freely. Nothing is gonna happen to them. There is not gonna be a bomb behind their car. No. Send them to, Cuba.
Yeah, but
Why Cuba don't have the United Nations?
okay. But do you know what happens if that situation happens? We will repeat exactly the same conditions that create World War II. At the beginning, after the First World War, President the League of Nations, right?
Conditions to
Okay.
create
Okay.
World War III.
Yes. So, in the best interest of the United States, the United Nations must stay here, but under the fair use rule. It's not fair that the United States has to pay 80% of the budget of the United Nations, okay, and being despicable for the other countries, okay, and leave other countries with that budget, and even we have to pay for the organization 80% of the organization's expenses. We have to receive this kind of treatment of that organization.
Wow, but you see, United Nations declared China being innocent of this, but is being accused by United States. It's like, okay, I came to you in 17. I'm talking like I am from the United Nations. Okay, Trump, I came to you on 17 to ask you for more money for the United Nations, and you said to us, no.
No.
So besides that, we were paying 80% of the United Nations expenses, they were coming to ask for more. Could you believe that? Could you believe that? President Trump said, no. Oh, you're not going to give us what we need. Okay, we're going to make hell on you. And this is what's going to happen. This is what's happening. China, South Korea, Cuba, Iran, Syria, Bolivia, because Venezuela,
okay,
Colombia,
and they're giving, for example, the presidency of the Human Rights Commission on the United Nations to Venezuela, to Nicolás Maduro, a guy who openly kills people. Okay, so the United Nations must change and must have a fair use. It's not they convert the United Nations into the Communist Party Congress. That's what United Nations is right now. Especially some of the arms like UNESCO. Okay, UNESCO, yes, or UNICEF. Okay, they are acting like really communist organizations, not what the United Nations was created for.
Was intended for.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So,
not that I'm supposed to be uttering opinions particularly, but the reason for all of this is very weak administrations.
yes.
Trump would stand up and say, no more, no
Mhm.
mas.
No
No
más.
más.
No más.
But nobody before Trump had the intestinal fortitude to stand up. Oh my God, what if they left it? Who cares? You know, they're not
cares?
doing us any good
They
anyway.
were part. They
so-
were part of that group. They were part. It's
part of the group,
only
yeah.
way that you are being pleasant or pleasing somebody else is because you are part of that relationship. You are part of that group, or you are part of the organization, the globalist organization.
The other portion of this is that the American public doesn't have the intestinal fortitude to stand up and say, whoa, Nelly, get us set and do something about them. I mean, I've forgotten at one time it was how many millions of tickets were out in New York on U.S. ambassadors, or they park in the middle of the street and say, who cares?
Who cares?
And
Exactly.
I've forgotten, the number was staggering, and the city of New York, there's no way they could collect. They just, too bad, they're UN. We're the strongest nation in the country, and we should flex our muscle more often.
Yes, absolutely.
And let people know where we are, and don't mess with us.
Regardless the people like it or not, this planet has areas like they call a zone that are controlled by somebody.
Yep.
Okay, those Islamists who came from the Middle East, like Syria, Iran, Palestine, they came to America, especially Central and South America. They came to control us, the Latinos. Okay, they didn't come here to share with us. No, they came to control us. So the Latino, with this mentality that these governors, presidents in the past have been teaching our people, hate United States, hate the imperial United States. All the thing that you are suffering is United States' fault. All this brainwashing, what they did, they welcome him. They welcoming those Islamists from the Middle East. They welcome the atheists from Asia, like China, North Carolina. They welcome all of them to their country with money, okay? But they didn't see that they were coming to control and invade their government, to control their whole particular life, okay? To change their mentality, to change their culture, to change what Venezuela used to be. You go to Venezuela now, Venezuela is not what it used to be. It's it was like a strip it down. They stripped down Venezuela's values, culture, ideology, way of behaving. They strip it down. It's like another country.
But the same happens here. I think you were the one who said that right now they are not teaching World War II at schools.
Well, they cut it down in history books. It's given 3 pages.
Exactly.
Exactly.
And what happened? And what happens with World War One?
I don't even know if it's a footnote.
Okay. And do you remember the Either of the U.S. Marines, what they say about Tripoli, that the first war that we had as a nation, as an independent nation, was not against England, but was against
Islam.
Islam.
Islam,
Yeah.
yes. That was our first war as a nation with another country after we became independent, was against Islam. And look where we are today with the Islamists running today. David, do you know there is 20,000 Muslims running today in United States for public positions?
No.
Starting from level 1, which is local, commissioners, whatever, to
All the way to the
county, state, and federal.
No, I didn't.
And what we the Americans are doing? Oh no, we are so focused on making money. We are so focused on business, and they don't remember what I said yesterday. Everybody was surprised when I say this. If you don't have a country, you will lose your business. Plain and simple. That's what happened in Venezuela. Remember Venezuela? When Venezuela used to be flourish, everybody went to Venezuela to invest. Remember that? Regardless, they were living in a light socialism system. But now you go to Venezuela, everybody who used to own a business, what happened? Gone. Why? Because the citizens of Venezuela, the regular Gonzalez, Martinez, Cruz, those citizens, they didn't care about politics. They just wanted focus in business. So what happened? The kids of the immigrants, you follow what I mean? The kids of the immigrant, those people who immigrated from Germany, from Syria, from Palestine, who were living those countries because of persecution, okay? They came to our country, for let's say Venezuela. They marry over there, they have kids in Venezuela, and they make sure that their kids went to school, graduated from university as lawyers, doctors, engineers. Why? Because they were thinking and putting the plan ahead with their kids. You're going to become one day a governor in this land. Because that's their mentality. While the Gonzalez, Martinez, Cruz, Barrios, Rosales, whatever, I'm giving you just basic last Hispanics, Latinos last name. They were busy partying. They were busy in having fun. They were busy watching TV, the Miss Universe or Miss Venezuela. They were busy, oh, look what dress I bought, look at my shoes. They were busy in their businesses. They were busy getting together and have fun, and they forgot about the politics. And let me tell you something. If you do not get involved in politics, politics will get involved in your life. It will change your life forever.
And take it over.
Take it over.
So now we have the problem here in the United States. 20,000 Muslims, they are running for position, and they say, clear, straightforward, they are not going to obey the Constitution of the United States.
No, they will follow the Sharia law.
They will follow the Sharia law. And we, the Christian, Gloria a Dios, hallelujah, praise the Lord, we're waiting for Jesus to come. Oh, Jesus is coming next week. Oh, we are here. And then, no. The Bible says, now I'm going to talk like a theologian. The Bible says, you are ordered to occupy. We Christians, we need to occupy. Because if we don't occupy, you know what's going to happen. They're going to take it from us. And we have to labor. We need to labor. We need to work. We need to take over with the laws and everything. Make sure that we take back the country that our father gave us when they founded this country.
Well, now is the time to say goodbye.
Oh no.
Okay, and thank you very much, David. See you later.
Bye. Oh, it's gonna be weeks.
You can keep your doctor, you can keep your plan, and every family will save thousands of dollars a year. I'm